Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about Fourth Avenue residences. For those of you who have no idea, it is the one that is directly next to the Sixth Avenue MRT, the blue line. For those of you who don't frequent Bukit Timah, I don't exactly frequent Bukit Timah, so it's a little bit confusing when I first learned about Fourth Avenue, and then you'll be like, oh, you know, the one that is right next to Sixth Avenue. Then why is it called Fourth Avenue? Right? But anyway, that's not the point of today's sharing. And this is the rough concept of how it will look like next time. As usual, disclaimer: whatever I share today is just based on my own point of view and analyzing just on the investment point of view. So if you're just buying for an emotional point of view, then it probably doesn't apply to you. And please do your own due diligence before you make any decision, just based on whatever you see in this video. Okay, for those of you, same. If you take a look at the location itself, like what I mentioned just now, Sixth Avenue over here, you got Fourth Avenue residences, you got the other one, which is Royal Green, and then you got a whole bunch of freeholds around that area, just down the whole stretch. And we know that a lot of people are buying Bukit Timah for schools, and then, but that doesn't mean that we all know that Bukit Timah houses are expensive, but doesn't mean that the prices expensive, but are they still increasing or rather appreciating for all of them along this whole stretch, or all of them that are within the 1 km radius? Because after all, these are the main few reasons why people want to buy for Bukit Timah, unless what the other reason you want to say is what to enjoy the flooding. Probably not. And then this is the site plan. You can just easily find it yourself. It's a triangular piece of land, and then this land size is quite decent, so not much to be talked about. Over here, land size is, like what I mentioned just now, is almost about 200,000 square feet. It's not small, it is decent. When it comes to supply, something to note, I think Fourth Avenue residences, why I call it FAR, because it's FAR, so it sounds like FAR short form. Anyway, Fourth Avenue, the area is has very limited supply, which is a good thing. But the only issue is that, as you can see around, large majority of all these icons over here, aka your competition, a lot of them are either 999 or freehold. And what does it mean? It just simply means that you are the one with the disadvantage along this stretch. And at least when it comes to supply, you don't have too much of an issue with regards to specifically Sixth Avenue MRT area within a 1 km. But does it mean that people must buy near here? Because after all, this is the part where some of the developments, they actually do not have 1 km radius, for school. But does it really matter? I think we have shared in other videos before, so I'm not going to be talking about it. Of course, there are, not needless to say, there are a lot of emotional buyers, emotional families. They are just buying purely for the school in this area, and they try to justify with their logic, this area cannot go wrong because it's right next to MRT, it's close to the school, and hence it's a very good investment. And let's just be clear here, your investment for your school and the investment for your financial gain is a totally different thing. So do not try to attempt to, I'm just investing in my child's future at the same time investing for my own financial future. These two are different subsets if you have done your research. So it does not always mean that you just have a good school and then it always will result in capital gain. Please go and do a due diligence, so I'm not going to be repeating myself again. We pull a few examples over here in the area. They are not too old, because if it's too old, it's not too fair of a comparison. You've got basically around the area, you do not have much number 9 to compare. So we've got Duchess, 999, the rest are three freeholds. And then you've got Fourth Avenue residences, which the lease started about how many years ago? 4 years plus ago. So by the time it TOP is probably about 5 years into the lease already. And then we'll see, it's projected to TOP by the end of this year or something, but that's not the key thing. And we take a look when it was launched, the PSF difference was about 650 PSF. But now the difference stays at about, it has slightly narrowed a little bit for Q2. It's about 600 plus PSF, 600 PSF gap. My concern is that when it was launched as too big of a PSF. If although people have been mentioning, hey, the difference with this one and the old one is like 12 years apart, so you can't really compare. So later we'll bring out an example just very quickly. Why I show you to show you that why I feel this gap is still too big for comfort. And if you take a look today, the gap is still quite big. So for those of you who are entering this area, just because the quantum is a lot smaller, I understand. Because the thing about Bukit Timah condos, they are older, even though the PSF is lower, but the quantum is a lot higher because of the large sheer size of the units. You've got the whole bunch of old batch of condos. You got your all these funny layouts and kind of unnecessary parts of the house that you don't want, but it's still counted in the PSF. You know what I mean? But then again, does it justify you entering the PSF? Because ultimately, when people look at condos, how many of them actually still look at PSF? Okay. So a lot of agents on the ground, they are saying, hey, doesn't mean that 99 in the freehold area cannot buy. Because why? Because if that's the case, then you look at Martin Modern, which is a smashing success, that one I would say. But there's a little bit of difference because when Martin Modern was launched at this price, the gap between this and Rivergate just beside it, also about 12 years apart. Then this guy is also a freehold, this is a 99. The gap was only less than 200 PSF. And then after that, the developers realized that, the appetite of the buyers was so huge that they decided to widen the margin. And this has resulted in a price gap of almost 700 PSF. And ever since, then what happens? Instead of saying that, Martin Modern has made money like this, but the ones that actually made money were these 2 quarters over here, because ever since then, prices has been stagnating or even slowly even dropping to the latest quarter. And on the other hand, you've got Rivergate that has already caught up. So today, you are telling me, TT, Martin Modern has made a lot of money, so it shows that 99 can make money. It's not wrong. The only problem is that the gap between the old freehold and the new leasehold then was very small. And then now you are basically repeating where it is. And will the older ones catch up? The one, I don't know how long will it take, but I think very likely they will eventually take over 4th Avenue, and hence what will happen as a result for your investment, that one, it remains to see. Okay, so as a result, today those people who entered at 2004 plus 2005, today if you want to exit, you need, let's say a few years down the road, you need to exit at 2007 2008. Then imagine if you buy let's say an average size of 700 square feet, and then you move about, let's say 400 PSF, which is very generous. If they can even hit 400 PSF again, I think it's already a smashing success lah. And that will only give you about 280,000. But the problem is this even achievable? Because today, if you need to move 400, that means today you need to be selling at next time you need to be selling at 2009 for a leasehold in that area, where these guys over here right now, they are selling at below 2000 PSF. So chances are that I wouldn't, for this particular area, I wouldn't bet my money on this horse, but I would rather bet my money if I am being forced to buy this area, I will definitely not buy this guy. I would rather buy the other guys, because at least I don't have this decay issue. But then again, those who already got in, I think too bad for them, because they probably didn't do their due diligence, because they're buying for the school, and then they try to justify their logic, and then that's their reasoning lah, which is not wrong. Because everyone, everyone has their own priorities. But the problem lies with if you're trying to justify that by saying that, when just by buying schools is gonna give us gains next time, mainly because of that, then I think that is where you have to really do a due diligence and research and realize that you may be in the wrong place. So generally for Fourth Avenue residences, pardon my far because seeing the acronym too much already. Anyway, back to this. Within 1 km radius, you've got Raffles Girls Primary, which is primarily why the reason most people will be buying here in the first place. So this one I'm not too concerned. 1 to 2 kilometers. Too excited about the pen. Okay, pardon it. Okay, anyway, this one is mainly the school that people are buying. And then we've got people are saying, oh no, that big piece of land at Turf City is gonna be expiring end of 2023, and then can you imagine the potential that land? Yes. So first of all, it expires 2023. And then till now, the government has still have not made concrete plans yet. It is still subject to detailed planning. And then, so how long will they take to launch the land? We have no idea. But can the rest of the guys afford to wait? They can afford to wait because of their lease. They are not basically almost non-existent lease issues. But FAR, far over here, let's say over here, far over here has the issues because of a lease decay, because you only got 99 years, whereas you got all the other guys here have almost no existent non-existent these issues, so they can afford to play the waiting game. But how long can you play the waiting game? Then that's the problem over here. Yes, you may have land potential unless they are going to be saying that, oh, today tomorrow we're going to relaunching that piece of land, URA confirm site at Bukit Timah, this piece launch already, and then maybe this guy will definitely have a chance. But for now, it doesn't seem to be happening, at least for the near term, because of these guys over here. And what kind of housing? I really don't think they will be building just purely private over here. This is too big of a land to be so company to waste. It doesn't seem very politically correct to be allocating the whole place to just private housing lah. But let's not talk about politics. I don't want to get in trouble. Anyway, for those people who are wondering, they are the lowest price entry for the area. Surprisingly, for the 1 bedrooms over here, were people who got in during the COVID period, the Star Buy promo at about 20x XPSF. And then, let's not take a look at those. They are lowest. We go to the part where you got quite a number of them who got in at 2122. I think these guys are still safe because they have that large amount of margin for them to really have that kind of risk what do you call it, hedging. But on the other hand, those people who got it 2004 plus onwards, I think the price gap is a little bit too big for comfort lah, as compared to these guys over here. Because these guys who got in, and maybe let's say these 2-bedder who got in, this 2-bedder, 2002, they got in, or you got these guys who got in at 2001 or so, they can easily exit at 2003, 2004 and still make a profit, and which is basically your entry price. Their exit price can be your entry price, which brings us to the Parkville Colonial versus Woodley situation over again. Okay, so this is where my concern comes in for FAR. And why I put this picture, because you've got a whole bunch of giants over here along the whole Bukit Timah stretch. You've got the left side of your Methodist, and then you've got a right side for the Royal Raffles Girls, and then you've got Nanyang Primary. All these for whatever reasons, whether they're buying for investment, they're buying for the schools, but a lot of them have almost non-existent lease issues. Whereas you got Fourth Avenue, if you are still thinking about it, you will be the small little guy over here versus the other giants over there in that area. And generally, I do not like the position myself as the in an area where I know I have a significant disadvantage, because generally we don't see most of the 99 in the freehold area doing better than the freehold counterparts. especially when the prices are higher. We've seen a few of those in the town area which I shared before, like example like OUE, Twin Peaks, blah blah blah. And then the common concern that nowadays people are facing is like you've got recession, you concerns about US recession, you've got people who will get laid off. But on the other hand, you've got this study by UOL, which has already shown that according to this chart, just to make things short and clear, basically if this chart goes beyond this line, if it goes above, it becomes an employees market. If it goes below, it becomes an employers market. So more job vacancy, then the more unemployment. And I've shared with quite a few of my clients. They mentioned that it is actually harder to hire than the nowadays, because you've got employees having a lot of options. They're getting job offers from different companies. Of course, it doesn't apply to everyone. There will be so-called people who have desirable traits that a lot of employer wants, but there are still companies who are still employing. And usually these kind of people, even fresh grads, they do have quite a lot of options. You basically have to throw and dangle a lot of incentive for them to even come in and consider your company in the first place. And these guys are going to be having quite a lot of income. And even though they may not be having down payment now because they're young, they may not have money, or maybe their parents have money. If not, they would have maybe spent the next few years accumulating enough savings, and they will be the next time upgraders, or rather first time buyers who will be buying from you next time. And then will you want to be buying then? If you buy then, will you be able to sell them immediately on the spot? I think that is something that you have to think about. Timeline also is not just as simple as, oh, when people buy, they are buy. When people are scared, I also feel scared. If you think that way, then just go and play the stock market. I think don't think about coming to the property market, because that is basically what everyone is doing in the stock market. So at least according to MOM, this article just came out only. It seems that likelihood of downturn according to MOM is low. Of course, we do have significant headwinds, but it's likely not going to be throwing us into a full recession or a significant one, at least for the next few years, especially when it comes to the property market, because we've got a very good stress testing, or rather too many cooling measures that is stabilizing our market, is making it very hard for our market to crash. So when it comes, the main issue now is the, other than the unemployment side, is mainly the interest. And then if we take a look at this chart over here, you've got a red one representing the SORA rate, which is the interest rate, and then you've got a blue one representing the private residential. You've got interest rate drop, property prices drop previously, and then interest rate stays low, prices go high, which makes sense because it makes cost of borrowing cheap. And then you've got interest rate going up, but property prices also went up. And then after that, it crashed. Why? Because of COVID. Property prices crash. So it stays low, property prices go up. Now, what happens when it goes up? There will be concerns. Will property prices very likely crash? I think very, very unlikely. But on the other hand, will the increase slow down? I think that is going to be the case, because there will still be people who can afford, and they do not mind affording. Why? Because you've got your mortgage stress test. Imagine today, let's say we've got, my current loan is only at 1.2%, but let's say you've got your current loan at about 1.52%. You've got, usually most of us would take 25 years loan. 30 years, 30 years loan. Okay, my bad. And then if we take a look at the 30 years loan, if the interest rate goes up to 2%, it means your payment for $1 million loan is about 3.7K a month. And then if it goes up to the very, very, very scary rate of 4%, because now this is where our TDSI assessment is. But if it goes beyond our TDSI assessment, it goes up 4%, this is going to be an increase of about $1,000. Will $1,000 increase force you to sell your house if you are being tied down by the seller's duty? I think very, very unlikely, right? What will happen is, maybe we'll try to drink less bubble tea, eat less Hai Di Lao, eat less McDonald's, don't take Grab so often, and then they basically just come out on those expenses that we don't really need to splurge on. Maybe some of you decide not to travel, but the unlikely thing is, because of just $1,000 a month, you're going to be selling a house. Because if your prices are not good, most of us would not want to be selling, and we are not being forced to sell anyway, right? And hence, that is the good thing about we've got our TDSR in place. Everyone hates it, but now we see that this is the one measure that actually brings us a lot of stability in the market. And especially last time it was 60%, and now we are assessed at 55% of our income. And this has made our market very, very, very stable. And hence, are we expecting fire sales? I think very, very unlikely. So back to Fourth Avenue residences, I think the key thing over here is we have to be clear. Are you actually buying for a school and an MRT over here, or are you buying more for buying it more as an investment? If you are buying for the MRT and the school, then I think you shouldn't be justifying it with your so-called financial logic. And you should just and settle that, or I'm just buying because of my immediate need, which is not wrong. It is not wrong for you to be buying for the MRT, for the address, prestigious address, CCR, and then you've got your schools. But the only issue is if you try to buy and then you try to justify it with your logic, this place very hard to lose money because of the good location, good MRT, good schools. Then I think you may be in for a very good, very, very unpleasant next few years. So I think it's very, very important to be clear. You are looking for exactly what you want and not looking to hear what you actually want to hear. Okay, I think that is something that is very important, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who regret. You will hear more people saying, "Oh, 10 years ago, I wish I should have bought this, I should have bought that." For those people who didn't buy anything. But those people who bought something and bought wrong, you realize the common reasons are like, last time I thought MRT cannot fail one. Last time I thought good schools cannot fail one. Last time I thought near this, near that, near amenities are nearby cannot fail one. So, but end up, I was wrong. And this is what I call justifying, just buying because of emotion and not logic, because those people who actually go bother to sit down and look at the numbers and analyze properties based on just purely numbers point of view, it is very, very, very hard for them to go wrong, because you are just looking at where the market is moving and you're not throwing in your emotions. And I think generally that is how the very, very best stocks investors or your stock traders are, because they go by logic, they eliminate emotions. And I think it is only right that this kind of people will succeed in the what I call it, the property and also the stock market. And hence I also respect, there's a reason why we respect doctors and lawyers, and we all know that they get very high paid. They are very highly paid. But the thing is, they have put in their fair share of effort. They have studied their butts off. I've got friends who literally had no life, give out on their friends. We lose the friend because he was so into study, which is not wrong for him, because if he's the kind that he really needs the time to study, if not, he will flunk his medicine degree or law degree, then it is only right that he fight for his own future. And hence, same thing over here. People who really sit down and spend the time and effort, or rather justify, or if not, they hire the right people to do it for them, then it is very hard for them to go wrong. And will they be just duly paid financially for that? I think it is a straightforward thing. And at the end of the day, if you are just the kind that, just talk, I should be near MRT, should be near good school, must be freehold, and then the price must be cheap, then you just be waiting at the side long, and then wait that and then hopefully prices will drop. And then, by the way, I know people who have since been waiting since 2017 now, because they see that prices start climbing since 2017. Then they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And COVID, they've been waiting to drop further, but apparently it dropped for 1-2 quarters, one quarter plus, and then it started going up again. So these people, did they regret? I think definitely. But are they to blame? I think definitely, because they didn't bother to sit down and do their due diligence. They didn't go through the numbers. They didn't look for investment with emotional discipline, and hence they probably will be regretting. And this is just literally just this morning. I just received a text from one of my clients that say, she said, she asked me as something else. Then suddenly she out of nowhere she mentioned, she really thanked me for helping her take the plunge last year. If not today, she would have been able to afford. Why? Because she was borrowing at a point where that three-bedder was going out of reach. But today, because of how fast those of you who have been looking at the market recently, you realize that today 1.6 to 1.8, basically it's very hard for you to find a good 3-bedroom today in the market. And hence there a lot of people are being wiped out. And I literally had one just 1-2 months ago come to me and I feel like I'm already borrowing. I feel like I cannot afford anything in the market. And then but at the end of the day, I suggest something. I did suggest something that is I feel, but he didn't take action. And then now today, look at where he is. I think, unfortunately for him, he has probably by the way, when I suggested that don't have this, don't have that, because don't have the whatever emotional thing that he wanted, and then that's too bad for him. Then this kind that I'm not too focused on Dada must be selling something to him. So basically I dropped him. And how is he? Has he bought anything? Actually, I don't know. I can't be bothered. But I think definitely will he regret 5 to 10 years down the road? I think definitely. Chances of him buying the wrong thing now in this kind of hot market on his own, I think is very, very highly likely. But who is to blame? I think he is definitely to blame himself, because for the kind of emotions that he has allowed himself to be soaked in when it comes to his purchase decision. So, verdict at the end of the day for Fourth Avenue residences, I keep almost want to say Far East, so, but it's not Far East. Okay, it's just Fourth Avenue residence, Fourth Avenue FAR. At the end of the day, make sure you buy because of your if you want to buy Fourth Avenue, make sure you're buying not for especially at this point, not for the financial gain, but more for your so-called emotional needs. And if you are buying for the investment and you realize that you want to be more emotionally disciplined, you want to be more logical, you want to play safe and make sure you maximize your chances of making money, and then you don't know where to start, or where to continue, then just drop me a text and I'll see how I can help. Okay, that will be all we have for today, and then see you guys. Bye bye.